Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to my channel again. This is Jackie, and just as promised, we're going to talk about the dangers involved in dating apps. And then what I'd like to do is perhaps later tonight, I might even tell you a ghost story or two. But let's start now with the online dating. Well, a lot of us have done it, myself included. And nowadays, about 39% of all the people in America have met somebody who they're involved with, like a significant other, on a dating app. So it's not very unusual, which goes to show that a lot of times it is successful. And just because you're using a dating app doesn't mean you're going to have a disastrous situation. But today we're going to talk more about those exceptions and just a couple of precautionary tales so that you'll know what kind of person or situations you might want to avoid, okay? Now, there are some sites that are a little bit more geared towards drugs and sets and group sets and different things like that. That would be Tinder, Grindr. There's one more that I can't really think of. I think it's based out of Europe. But most of the people who go on there, they're just strictly looking for a hookup. One thing that people who do this might want to be aware of, though, is that 10% of the people who get on there to hook up are sex offenders. So just keep in mind that some of the people who you run into may actually be sex offenders. Just going over my eyebrows a little bit. And that's something you definitely want to be aware of, be on the lookout for when you're out there meeting people online. So what you might want to do, just as a matter of safety, is make sure that you talk to somebody who's going to give you their whole name, first and last. That way you'll be able to look them up on the sex offender registry. If they, for whatever reason, don't want to give you their last name, then, that, of course, should send up some sort of a red flag or signal to you, because if they are afraid to give you their last name, it's only for a couple of reasons. And one of the main reasons is they must have something to hide, something they don't want you to know about. Of course, I do see that people want privacy, but also you can have privacy and still have people know what your name is. So be aware of that. Please be aware of that. Now, another situation that you will probably see because of dating sites is that about 1 in every 10 of the people who you would encounter on a dating site or dating app is going to be a scammer. It's important for you to know that, because nobody wants to get scammed, but it's a common occurrence on the websites. Somebody will perhaps start asking you for money. And you have to be aware that if somebody starts asking you for money, that's a big sign that perhaps they're a scammer, especially if it's somebody who you've never met, you had no contact with other than online. I've had a lot of scammers try to scam me before. I've never sent them money. Sometimes I just play with them just for the fun of it, but I definitely don't send them money. And you really shouldn't either. I want to let you know that the average scammer is able to get an average of $100,000 from each of their victims. So they're living large off of you. $100,000 for each person. Can you imagine? Wow. So they're getting rich. They're living the big life. off of your hard-earned money. And one thing that I noticed that scammers like to do is they like to target the elderly and people who are middle-aged and lonely. And that's who they want to run their little money schemes on. So that's something else that everyone needs to be aware of. Do keep in mind that just because you're not older doesn't mean that you can't be scammed. If you've ever watched a show on MTV, Catfish, you know exactly what I mean. You don't have to be a senior citizen or middle-aged just to be the victim of some unsavory character. I just finished using my little tiny Milani Brow Fix kit. And I also used 2 more brow kits, as a matter of fact. I used this pretty old one by LA Colors, but it's still really good. It's got lots of use left. And this one right here, which is by Profusion. It's called Perfect Brows. So those are the kits I used for my eyebrows today. And right now I'm about to put the Sensual Skin Foundation on. This is by Kevin O'Con. As you can see, it's like the ideal color for me. It's just a perfect match. So as I'm doing that, I have some other interesting statistics for you. Do you realize that more than half of all Americans who are on a dating app or dating website exaggerate? They exaggerate about something. See that? See what a good match that is? You know it's a good match when you can't even see me put it on. And that's how this one is. It's the absolute perfect shade for me. If you want to know what that shade is, just a second, I'm going to have to look at the bottom of it here. SF13, that's my perfect shade. Perfect. Like you see, you can't even see it on me. So, yes, do keep in mind that they're going to lie about their height, their name, their age, their weight. As a matter of fact, to be honest with you, totally frank, when my mom was alive, she asked me, and well, I convinced her to get a website as well, a dating profile, because she was divorced from my dad. And I wanted to see her out dating again. She didn't tell the truth about her age or her date of birth because she just didn't want anyone to be able to find her or find out about her or, come to her job and mess with her or any of those kind of things that could very much possibly happen if a person knows how to get in touch with you. So it was just as a precautionary method. She didn't make herself incredibly older or younger or anything like some of the people do. She just, just gave a different date. That's all. Like instead of saying, say April 5th, she would say like April 16th. Instead of her proper year, she may go with 1 or 2 years off. That's all. So now I'm using Flesh, Pure Flesh. This is Biscuit. That's the color of this. And for the contour, I'm going to use a little of this Cafe right here. Now, what do you all think of so far what we've talked about? The fact that you've got people out there tricking people on their profiles, being a little bit deceptive. Do you think it's a good idea? Do you think it's all right to tell a little white lie, like maybe that you're, well, if that's what you want to call it, a white lie, that you're a little bit younger than you might be, or a little bit older, or what have you? I kind of get it. I really do. I have a friend who lives in a state I used to live in, out west, who lies about her age by about 10 years. And the reason she does it, well, first off, she does look good for her age. She looks great. But the reason she does it is because she said that a lot of men are prejudiced or biased against women their age. Everybody wants a girl in her 20s or what have you, maybe early 30s. And the more mature a woman gets, the less likely she is to get any serious interest from any men. So for that reason, she lied about her age and made herself younger, but to at least not have herself counted out from the very beginning. What do you think of that? What is your thought on that? Do you think that that's just totally wrong on every level? Or do you think that sometimes it's a good idea to just tell little bitty, let's just say, untruths just to protect yourself?